There we go. Here's the problem for us. Here I am, and if you're looking at your notes, and if you're watching online, you definitely want to download the notes so you can fully understand this concept. I am here on this side of my decision. There is an outcome that I'm looking at, but in the middle between us is this unequal sign. It's the equal with the slash in it. Like something doesn't match up here. And that unequal sign, all of a sudden now I'm having a problem here. I don't feel good. What gets us messed up is when we say, it's just the pizza I ate last night. Like I just burnt the pizza, it was lousy. Or, oh, we tried some new Chinese last night, the Chinese was bad. Or, oh, I drank some sour milk, or like it just doesn't agree with my stomach. And so we just run roughshod, we just run right over this inequality in this decision-making process. So here I am, the outcome's on the other side, we don't feel good, so what do we do with this uneasy feeling? We flip it sideways. We'll go to the next slide is this. We press pause. Press pause on our decision. The pause button on your phone for Spotify. You pause the music. You press pause on your DVD player. What are those anymore? Press pause on your VHS player. What are those things? You press pause, right? And you wait. I'll say this for just a moment. We've got to be so careful. None of us like to wait. None of us like to pause. Why? Because we look at everybody else and, man, people are rushing ahead. But the challenge is this. You may have friends or people or coworkers who they're like, man, I'm just going to run right over this. And you're thinking, man, I've got a tension in me about what they're doing too. Like, why don't they stop? And we see them run over things. And here's a really, really tough thing to swallow. You have friends that will pull away from you and they'll go do things that are totally different than what you're doing. And they'll look like they're being super successful. They're going to move, and they're going to level up in their job and get a promotion, and you're going to go, wait a minute. Like, they're not pausing, and I'm waiting, and I'm pausing, and they're like moving way ahead of me. But here's the deal. If you move ahead on something that you don't feel good about, on a tension, if they just move ahead, they're going to make mistake after mistake after mistake. You need to jot down in your notes, here's a passage of Scripture that you need to read this week, Psalm 73. Psalm 73. It's one of the few psalms that was not written by David. It was written by a guy by the name of Asaph. A-S-A-P-H. Asaph. And name your kid that. Asaph. So Asaph, he was a worship leader in the temple there. He was kind of get up and play drums, maybe like Gene, or he'd play the guitar and he'd sing. And one of the challenges that he had was this. He saw his friends weren't coming to temple anymore, weren't coming to worship. And he saw that they weren't obeying and honoring their parents. And he saw they were cheating people, and they were cutting corners. And they were being really successful at it. And so he gets mad, and he goes to church one day, and after everybody leaves church, he stays at church, and instead of praying silently to himself, he has like a shout fest with God. And he says, God, why are people succeeding, and they're being knuckleheads? People are doing some bad things, God, and they're not pressing pause on their life. And he says, it wasn't until I started talking to God about it that God began to give me perspective and understanding to realize that it's just a matter of time. And people are going to get tripped up. Proverbs says you roll a stone, it's going to roll back on you. You dig a pit, you're going to fall into it. You set a trap, you're going to get caught in it. And so we take that line where we find that hesitation that's not equal, doesn't line up, we press pause. But here's the great thing is this. When we press pause, it gives us an opportunity then to pay attention. So we go to the next slide then. We can then turn that pause back into an equal sign so that we can say, my decision then will smoothly equal my outcome. Do you understand? Do you see how we're going with this with these? I'm trying to work in these little signs for us. Say, give me a sign, Jesus. Here's your sign. You wait for things to even up. And it may be painful because the pause will eventually lead to a moving forward where your life will be even out, it'll be equal. But instead of rushing through and rushing into something that you say, I'm just not sure about, we just have to wait. And here's the deal. Here's my fear. One of my kids is in here today, and I'll just share. They're here anyway. Here's the deal. My kids, you know why they don't want to ask me for things sometimes? Because before they ask me, here's a fear they have. You know what their fear is? Can you guess? They're afraid to ask me why, because Dad's going to say what? Dad's going to say, no, nada, nah, not in your lifetime. There's a show on Netflix, a movie on Netflix right now called Yes Day. My kids loved it. I banned it from our household. We're not allowed to watch it. We're not watching it ever again. It's the dumbest movie ever. Thank you, Netflix. That was a cute movie. It was fine. But the idea is this. They say, I'm not going to ask. And so what do? We play this game. Like, it's a horrible game. Hey, Dad. Yeah. What? Can I ask you a question? Go for it. And they kind of like him-haul around. I said, what do you want from me? Right? Well, I don't want to ask because I was fearful to say no. Well, I'm probably going to say no, but I can give you an alternative yes. And lock that away. You need to write that down. When you fear a no from God, it's because he's setting you up for an alternative yes. And so when you press pause, you say, I'm going to wait. Here's the problem. We don't want to wait because we're afraid of what's going to happen on the other side, that we're going to miss out, or that God's going to say no, or that we're going to be at a disadvantage from people. But here's the truth. When we pause and we wait on God, it gives us an opportunity to do the second step. It's this. The second secret is this. It gives us an opportunity to explore our doubts. To explore our doubts.